Hi, I'm Dan. I am a fast packer and an ultramarathon runner. I've been doing that sport for about 10, 15 years. And for the last 5 years, I have been prototyping, designing, building, and using some of my own designs for these sports. And the one that I'm going to share with you today is one of my latest designs. It's a drop bag for ultra running. So this is what it looks like, but first I just want to share kind of what I'm solving for, because like any other ultramarathon runner, a lot of the time when I have used drop bags, I usually just kind of use whatever bag is around, like a big Ziploc bag or an old sleeping bag stuff sack or some kind of dry bag that's just kind of lying around. So it would kind of usually look something like this. This is kind of one of those string bags that come for free with a pair of shoes. I've used this before as an ultramarathon drop bag. And these are fine, but one of the issues that I always had with it was it would take kind of a lot of time. It's really disorganized. I would usually kind of have everything in a bunch of different Ziploc bags like this. And when I get to an aid station, I'm kind of digging around to try and remember, where I left my gel. Was it in this one or was it in this one? Or my lip balm, which would always kind of like end up at the bottom of the last bag that I was looking for. And then there would sometimes be stuff just kind of free floating around in here, and I'm digging around. I've got my whole head inside the bag trying to get to the bottom of this. And so when I had some extra fabric laying around over the last couple of months, this was about 6 months ago, I put together a design for a new drop bag that's of my own design. I went and looked at what other companies were making, and there's some that are making sort of specific ultra running drop bags. They all seem pretty over engineered to me. So if this is really under engineered, right, it's just a sack that you throw stuff in. Some of the stuff that I saw online just had a lot of pockets and a lot going on, just a really over organized. And I really wanted to make something that was really simple, was really light, that was really fast and efficient, and that I could just see everything that's inside of it at a single glance. I don't have to go looking through pockets on the outside, pockets on the inside, and sort of figuring out where stuff is in one of the 10 pockets within a bag. So this solves for that. It is just a very simple, efficient, fast system. So I want to share sort of some of its features for a second. It is within the Western States recommendations for width, length, and depth. So I figure if it'll work for Western States, it'll work for a lot of other ultra marathons. It has these two grab handles on the end, so I was hoping these would be easy to grab your bag out of the pile with. It's got two zippers in the middle, and it has this cord here, which is something that I just kind of call the rip cord, which kind of hooks on over here, and I'll share what that's for in a second. The only other thing that it has is it's got a spot to put your bib number on the outside, and this piece of paper comes out, and you can just write your name and your bib number, as a lot of races ask you to. And I've seen a lot of bags where like an old bib number is kind of scratched out and a new one's written on. So I wanted to make sort of a spot where I could just take that out and put it back in pretty easily. But that's it for the outside. That's all that this is. It's just a single piece of X-Pac fabric that's molded into a rectangular shape. Now, to open it is the real sort of like innovation. The thing that I think is really interesting about this and the design that I've come up with is the way that it opens and folds out. So inside of this bag, there is kind of a roll. There's a single piece of fabric that's been rolled up and it's sitting inside of here. And the way to pull that out is to take this little rip cord, and all you have to do is tug it off to the side, sort of this way, and it'll unroll completely flat and you can see everything that's inside of the bag. And so the way that that looks, I'm just gonna do it really quick. I hope that this shows up on camera. Just unzip, you take this ripcord and then you pull it out. And then there you go. Everything is displayed perfectly. And I'm just gonna show this like this. There's shoes in the bag itself, but then there's this roll that has organizational features. So I'm just gonna put this back on my little sort of a tripod, I guess. My improvised tripod. So this is the main compartment where you can sort of just grab your gels, right? And you can load those into your vest or into your race belt if you want to. Basically anything that's about the size of a gel is gonna fit here in these little elastic compartments here. So I have some precision hydration tabs. Maybe you have multiple types of gels. I threw a bar in here if people like to do bars. And then I have some tailwind recovery mix. So basically anything that's about the size of a gel can fit in here really easily. And then there's two other organizational pockets. There's a big one, and these have little tabs that you pull on with Velcro. I would put something like maybe a shirt in here if I wanted to have an extra shirt or something like that, or maybe a pre-loaded hydro flask that's already filled with water and ready to go. That could also go here. So there's a big pocket, and then there's these two smaller pockets. I kind of envision this as the first aid pocket. There might be a little first aid kit in here. I just threw a roll of KT tape that I've had for like 3 years and has been sitting in my bathroom forever in here. And of course, I always have extra pairs of socks in my drop bag. So I really wanted to make a pocket where it's very easy just to grab the socks. And obviously I made this mesh so that it's really easy to see what's in here, right? There's no digging around for things in the way that there is with the other ones, the other kinds of drop bags that I've seen and used. And then the bag itself is big enough to hold all of that and a pair of shoes, and you could probably fit a jacket in here as well. So I've got sort of an extra pair of shoes in here, and one of the coolest features that I designed here, this was kind of a last minute addition when I was creating this, and it's the fact that the roll itself is removable. And I made the roll removable with these two clips because I wanted to be able to create custom rolls for other ultramarathon events. So I'm thinking about like, maybe if I wanted to put poles in here, it would be nice to have a roll that is designed specifically to hold poles or to hold a preloaded race belt or a race vest or whatever else is sort of specific to a serious A race. I could customize this whole roll and I wouldn't need to make another one of these main bodies. So this just clips and unclips. And I really like how wide this opens, even if I didn't have the roll, right? Even if the roll wasn't a key feature of this, even though I think that's kind of the coolest part of it, right? When this is unzipped, you can see everything in it really easily. So when it comes time to load this for your race, all you have to do is you put anything that you want in the bag has to go in here first. So you could put a pair of shoes, you could put a jacket, you could put a fleece, whatever you're putting in here, and then you can load up your roll with whatever you want. You have your nutrition, your hydration, you can have water bottle, you can have an extra shirt, you have your socks, you have your first aid, whatever it is. And then all you have to do is just make sure that the rip cord is kind of off to the side. You roll this whole thing up, just making sure that the rip cord kind of stays in the middle and doesn't get too caught up. And then whatever you have in here is going to stay here. This might be shoes and then a fleece, and then the roll just kind of sits right on top of everything, and you tuck it in, and then you leave the ripcord on the outside. You zip this up. I prefer to have it in the middle, and then there you go. This is ready. This has a little G hook on it right here, and that can hook onto one of the little grab handles, or it can frankly just sort of stay loose, or you could tuck it into the little bib pocket, or the little bib number pocket. I like to sort of hook it on something just to keep it out of the way for when the race staff are loading it and taking it somewhere. And that is this. I really hope that if you're out there and you're making your own drop bags, I hope you can take some ideas from this. I just really think that this is a pretty great design, very simple for drop bags, and I've only used it in one race, but really worked really well in that race. This was made with just kind of scraps that I had lying around, and so I'm gonna make another version of this. I really like the version that came out with the first prototype. There's only a few small things that I would change. I would make a lot of my pull tabs more contrasting color. Actually, I would probably make the bag a brighter color. Black was just all I had when I was making this. I'd probably keep these pull tabs black because it's easier to get this material in black, and I would just make this like an orange color or something that's very easy to see. And the other thing that I would really like to do is make this ripcord magnetic rather than clipping it, because the whole purpose of this is to make for something that's really efficient and fast. And yeah, that's really fast to remove the G hook, right? That's very fast, but it can get kind of bunched up if this gets stuck behind the little piece right here of the G hook. Then it can take a little longer to kind of get it out. And since this is all about efficiency, it would be really great if this was just magnetized here, and then it would be even easier to just grab and pull. So those are some things that are going to come with version 2 of this, I believe. Anybody who's seeing this, it'd be really interesting to hear any other improvements that you think could be made on the bag. I'm going to keep iterating on this. My next few videos are going to feature some other things that I've designed. One of them is a sleeve for a soft flask water bottle to turn it into a handheld water bottle, so that I can sort of customize how it holds gels, and when you're running in hot races, it helps to make your hand not as sweaty if you're just using one of those handheld water bottles with the plastic. And I have a running jacket that I've designed that I'm really interested to show everybody and see what they think. So that is the drop bag. It doesn't have a name, but it's near and dear to my heart. I'm really excited to bring this to a couple more ultra running events. Thanks for watching.